Welcome back to the Real Couchwives podcast, where we overanalyze all things Bravo.
Real Housewives of New York just put out what is being called the worst episode in, Housewives history that is entirely based on a prank. It simultaneously lost the viewers' trust and just seems super overproduced. So we got to talk about this episode. It was insane. People are angry, but also just kind of what's going on with Bravo in general right now. There's, some things are hitting like Salt Lake City and some things are really, really not. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, I think Daddy Andy is very disappointed in the new RHONY ladies, unfortunately. Saida Silva, I don't know if you saw, was on Watch What Happens Live this week. And Andy basically started off the episode with like, yeah, I'm not really a fan of a prank. And just left it at that.
But I'm so confused about it for a variety of reasons because it happened and that was the choice of the cast members, but then also Bravo chose to put this in the trailer and make it seem like this was going to be a part of this season. So I think everyone's kind of at fault here. But before we get into it, maybe we should unpack what happened for those who are not watching RHONY.
That's a very good idea. So for those of you that didn't get the chance to watch the episode, essentially this week on the most recent episode of RHONY, Erin was having lunch with Jessel and Brynn, and she basically kind of alludes to the fact that Rebecca has become pregnant, and she's become pregnant through another man that's not her husband, and it kind of obviously sparks this little wildfire. Brynn is super excited to pick up the pieces of this and be go and run and tell all the other women this information, and so it slowly starts to get through the rest of the group and everybody's talking about it. And it all kind of culminates at the end of the episode where we have Jenna basically kind of telling Rebecca hey, people are talking about you, just so you know. And then Rebecca gets super mad at Erin, is Erin, did you tell them? And then we kind of see a little pan where they've kind of gone off on their own, and we see that they're joking with one another essentially, and so it's kind of been hinted that this is all just a prank, a ruse, some kind of hilarious thing that allegedly all the audience and all the ladies have fallen for.
Yeah, so you just see Erin and Rebecca being oh, that was so good, you did so well.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts on this. The first one is I do think there is kind of an interesting component to see the way that the other ladies react and just spread this wildfire and just kind of broken telephone it. For example, Brynn Brynn was being, if she truly didn't know this was true and she was just perpetuating this rumor, she was being so mean. She was winking, she was making pregnant jokes behind Rebecca's back,
playing dodgeball.
Yeah, so I feel if they were going to do this, at least bringing the audience in at the beginning that it was a prank, and then kind of seeing, how the girls all reacted to it. Maybe that could have worked.
Yeah.
Perhaps. But the way that they did it, being putting it in the trailer as if this is true, this seemed like it was the biggest drama going into it, making a whole entire episode thinking that this is true, and then at the end being just kidding. I feel you're it's reminiscent of the end of The Hills, where they pan out and you see the green screen in the back.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I can't. I guess I understand that Bravo kind of had to deliver this information to us in this way for us to believe it. But I think the thing that's annoying audiences and annoying me is just the fact that it's just so you clearly have nothing to actually talk about.
That's it.
On this season. You have to make up these elaborate stories, and clearly the kind of the whole point of being able to do that is to show how loose-lipped Brynn is and how quickly all this kind of goes amongst the group. But at the same time, it's there's no the payoff is so wah.
Yeah.
it's okay, you got one episode of content from a fake rumor that you spread yourself about yourself, and now where do we go from here? What happens?
I mean, and is now the second half of the season going to be the girls being oh my god, I can't believe you made that rumor, and then this is literally just going to be the whole season.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. So it's I do kind of wonder. I think a prank I mean, is usually just not the way to go in a housewife show also, just because
I just don't even consider that to be a prank. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it is technically.
Yeah.
But,
also, like, who's the prank on? Like,
yeah. Haha, we got you. Like the cockroach in the Pavlova earlier in the season. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see how that's a prank. Like Carol dressing up as a bear in Montana in like season 6, I want to say. That's a prank. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
This I don't think is a prank.
No, it's so true. It's like, and also if you're going to start a rumor about yourself,
Yeah.
why would you make it so bad?
So bad.
Like, why do you want to start a conversation that you and your husband are kind of cheating on each other and like partake in like crazy orgies, and now you're pregnant of them, and you like you have other children. Like this is a conversation that you want other people to be saying about you. Like that's so weird.
And like we're not allowed to talk about the Scientology, but we're allowed to talk about this.
I was just gonna say this is the person who literally won't let anyone talk about her Scientology, which is another thing. I think maybe we should get into this a little bit later, but it's just like there's things to be talked about with this cast. There's just none of them are willing to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can't know what happens to Brynn, like what her life is. We can't know what she does for work. We can't know anything about Rebecca's Scientology except for what she's like willing to tell Aaron at that lunch.
Only read certain books that she approves.
And like we just have to like sit through a lot of really painful conversations about Pavitt and Jessel, like deciding on whether or not they want to have a daughter when one of them clearly really wants to have one and one of them clearly really does not. Like, what else is happening on this show right now?
It's basically nothing. Yeah, I think that's the other thing too, is just like maybe if they had more going on, it could have been taken a little bit better. But it's true. Like, I feel like it really just the fact that Aaron and Rebecca thought up to do this prank, which already makes it seem very self-produced. I think we're in, like, we talked about this, we're in a time of Bravo where like some of the newer shows, like the cast just have taken notes. Like they know what to do, or at least they think they know what to do. This is actually a clear example of like in Aaron's mind, this is clearly a really great storyline and she's being a really good cast member, but this is actually like the kiss of death for something that you could do. I think it's just like the epitome of self-producing.
The audience has not responded well. Like I think overall we are all just kind of like, oh wow, really? Like season 2 has already been painful enough to kind of like start off with, or I keep on calling it season 2, season 15.
No, it's basically season 2.
It's kind of season 2. And so yeah, like I just think that it's just kind of like, okay, well now I really don't get why I'm here.
Yeah, it's just like to do it in a cast where nothing is happening, they're not talking about anything, and now they're gonna show us that they can act and they can be fake and they can. I don't think they're very convincing. Like it was actually the whole time, because I had known this happened already before watching it, because I saw it come out on social media. So I watched it knowing it was a lie. But as I was watching, I was actually wondering if Brynn was in on the lie, because I found that she was so over the top in everything that she did.
No,
but she doesn't seem to be in on it right now. So I think it also backfired on Brynn, because we just see like she's like frothing at the mouth to like make a storyline out of something.
She's so excited to get to tell this. And I also wonder like about the timing of the fact that like we then also had Aaron's actual pregnancy announcement happen like kind of simultaneously with the airing of this episode.
It's true.
Like, wasn't that kind of strange timing?
I thought it was also kind of strange timing just because like the season, like the theme of this season just seems to be that she's having marital problems. About Bitcoin.
About Bitcoin and possibly other things. Things that shall remain nameless.
I don't know. It's just like, I feel like it was just bad all around, and I think like a lot of people are just like, cancel this show right now.
They're like, okay, what do we have to do? And that's just it. Like I know that we talked about it last week of like who we think should stay, but I have to be wondering if like at this point like Andy Cohen is even like having the conversations of kind of like, okay, what do we need to do to like fix this for next year?
I don't know what they can do. I think it's also I don't know, like this season, Brynn really annoyed me, or like this particular episode. Like she was doing a lot, and it's funny because I feel like the first season she was one that we kind of gravitated to, and we thought she was fun and bubbly and like, you know, stirred the pot an appropriate amount. But now I feel like just going into this episode knowing that this thing was fake and the way that she was so excessive about all of it, like I feel like she's coming off as very fake. I feel like she's coming off as like inauthentic. Even when she's like, she just straight up lies. Like she does, like there's a lot of weird Mean Girls stuff happening. Like she's trying to catch Jenna talking bad about Jessel when she absolutely won't do it.
Yeah.
But the main thing actually that kind of like was weird to me is in one of her confessionals, she's like, oh my God, I'm like getting carpal tunnel from like stirring the pot so much. And it's like, someone who's stirring the pot is not saying, hey, look at me, I'm stirring the pot.
Look at me, I'm so busy.
Like she's doing it in a calculated way. I feel like people who stir the pot are just like straight up messy. They're not literally like, let me go in and like blow up this friend group.
Well, and I think that like, so obviously last week I also compared her to Dorinda, who I do think is like an excellent pot stirrer, and was just like such a, and just it was so authentic for Dorinda to kind of play that role. And I just think that like that's the problem, is that like it doesn't really feel, maybe it doesn't feel authentic. It's not that it doesn't feel authentic for Brynn. It's just it just feels like excessively put on.
To me, it doesn't feel authentic. Like it feels like when I watched her this episode, I just felt everything she did was a lot. Like she's doing a lot. And I feel like at first I thought maybe that was just her personality. But I feel like she is trying to be the star of the show, and it's just not really working.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's because, so like last year, if you think about the first season, like the information that we learned about Brynn was kind of like around like her background and her like family life, and like specifically her early family life, like with her parents, and kind of like the trauma that she's had from that, and her relationship with her grandmother and her brother. So we got a lot of that like background information, and that's I think kind of why a lot of us like kind of like thought, oh, this person's like really interesting. And then we kind of had like that happen as well with like Jenna. I think like Jenna like shared a lot of information about her life. And I guess the thing is like we learned all that in season 1. So now in season 2, there's not a lot more for them to continue the storyline with. Like there's nothing else. We're not building upon anything that we saw last year, because it was just kind of like, these are our background stories. And now there's nothing that we're like getting the new information on this year. Like Jenna's kind of like gone into the background, I think, even more, unfortunately. Like I know that we're not seeing her partner, and I don't really have much of a problem with that, but the fact that like we aren't really seeing her brand like we were seeing last year, like at least there would have been like something else to get to kind of see, like let's build on that. Where allegedly Brynn is building this app, but like we don't see like, you know, the way that we saw like Bethany's like assistants and like everybody that she worked with at Skinny Girl, and her meeting with her real estate agent Frederick, and like all these like different things. Like there was always like other casts of characters kind of coming into the group, and we're not having those like additional dynamics coming into this group. It's really just like these women, and now they're playing dodgeball apparently. Like here's them doing another weird activity together.
No, it's true. It's strange. I don't know what they're gonna do with it, or like the people that they do bring in. Like they're bringing in Rebecca Minkoff. That's her name, right?
Yeah, Rebecca Minkoff. Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting one too, because it's like, you know her, she's reputable, like that.
Yeah.
That felt like an interesting fit. But she comes in, she's a Scientologist, but won't talk about it, and then also makes up a rumor about herself, and that is her. That is her presence in the group. Like that's what she's brought to the table. It's like, like you don't do that on your first freaking season. Like it's just like, what a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, and like we're not really even getting like kind of like all these like spaces. Like I feel like we used to see like Sonia's townhouse. Like there were things that we would like see, and we were just like, we'd kind of glob onto it. Like we're not really seeing people's houses in the same way.
Sonia's townhouse was literally like a character.
Yeah, but like the fact that like I can think of like, okay, I can think of multiple apartments that Bethany has lived in. I can think of Sonia's townhouse. I can think of Ramona's
Carol's
house. I can think of Luann's house
with her like her death stairs that don't have a railing.
Dorinda's Bluestone Manor, like all of these places, like, you know, that like builds up the like the lore and the kind of the story as well, right? And we just aren't, like, I guess that we've been to Erin's house twice, and maybe Erin's house is just boring. Like, her house in the Hamptons, like, it's just
so
not
true. Like,
interesting.
that's the main place we've been in, is her house in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
That didn't have enough food.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and then there's also, you know, the elephant in the room of these people are not friends. Like, these people are not friends. Let's stop pretending that they're friends.
Yeah.
If anything, I don't understand why they hate each other so much, considering they are not. I don't think they know each other enough to be, you know, to hate
enemies. Yeah, it definitely feels like the level of like animosity, I guess, that they have as a cast towards like certain people. I'm just like, I don't understand it. Like, you've known this person for 2 seconds. How do you have that much of a problem with this person? But
yeah, it's just not hitting. I am really interested to see what Bravo does with this, because I feel like they really pushed RHONY on us last year. Didn't they say it was like the best show? Like, didn't it like get an award or something? Or like it was, or
I don't
like
know about that.
Andy was just like, this is, or an award. I think Andy might have just said it was the best show or something.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
A spoken award from Andy.
Exactly. Approval, verbal confirmation of Andy's approval of it.
Yeah. So now I just feel like, I wonder what they're gonna do with this with this negative reaction. Like, you've already rebooted the season. I mean, you've already rebooted the franchise.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
And does it make them worried about the other franchises that they were also thinking about, like, rebooting? Like, they were going to reboot
think it should.
Atlanta. I think they're going to reboot New Jersey. Like, that's at least 2 heavy hitters that they, you know, they now probably have, like, bigger questions about. Well, actually, I think maybe for Atlanta, they're thinking about bringing back Portia and oh my god,
I don't watch it, so I don't know.
No, you know Phaedra. I was like, you know her.
Phaedra just like sparkles her, like she just like sprinkles herself around. Dude, actually, she's been everywhere. Isn't she on Dancing with the Stars right now?
I think she was actually. I think she was. I don't know if she's still on it, but I think she was at the beginning of the season. Yeah, her and Anna Delvey. So random.
Yeah, that was another weird choice of casting.
Weird choice.
I don't know if you watched, because I got really into Dancing with the Stars last year because of Ariana.
I love that.
It's also just really fun to watch dancing and people learning and growing. I really enjoyed it. So I watched the first episode this season, but then I didn't really like care about many people who were on it, so I kind of stopped. But the first episode was really interesting because they brought out Anna Delvey, and then like it was clear that everyone was just like, what's happening? And the judges like called it out. They're like, guys, like, the mood shifted when she came on and danced. Like, I felt that, and like, you guys need to give her a chance.
Whoa.
And like, it was just like, I'm sorry, you guys cast her, not us. Like,
but also, like, she's technically, well, I mean, like, yeah, she's I guess she served her time, but she's technically a criminal. Like, I don't know, she's a fraudster.
Yeah. Anyways, it was just a weird choice.
Yeah, it was a weird choice. I've only watched the like TikToks of Alana because I love her. She's the Olympian, the rugby player. But that's all I've seen.
Honestly,
otherwise I don't know what else is happening on the
show. A good show. Bring like more Bravo people on.
Yeah. Give Shay a shot.
I really want to see it, to be honest, just because like she's talked so much about it. I want to like actually see
what would it be like.
Like,
bring Tom Sandoval on.
Okay, no, not that. Could you imagine the theatrics that he would pull out?
Oh my god, he would love it. I hate it.
No, never, not invited. Maybe like Schwartz. That would be just kind of hilarious.
That would be so funny. He'd be so bad at it.
I could definitely see him having 2 left feet for sure.
Yeah, I don't think he could do it.
Anyways, RHONY. It does just kind of make me think about Bravo right now, and like they're just kind of like identity crisis that they're having, and I feel like it's kind of an example of like they just don't. I don't think they know where to go and like what to do right now, and it's almost like I feel like they just keep being very extreme. It's like, okay, the last season of RHONY was terrible. The one before they just totally rebooted it. We were just kind of like, things like Ramona's antics are getting kind of just too brutal to watch at that point. It was just like, it was just a hot mess.
No, it was bad.
And it was like, okay, so that's not the answer. We need less of that. But then I feel like you know, they did something completely different, and now I almost feel like the pendulum's going to swing back, and maybe they'll be like, well, maybe we bring back Ramona.
Oh no. I mean, that could be the answer, or at least maybe they'll do like another Ultimate Girls Trip or something. That was kind of interesting.
I thought it was fun. I feel like it kind of fizzled, right? Or is it just me? Like, I feel like it had a lot of excitement because it was so new, and like mainly having the housewives break the fourth wall was very interesting, and putting different people in a scenario together. But I feel like it didn't have the, I don't know, I just feel like it kind of fizzled away.
Well, yeah, I kind of wonder how much of that is because of the whole Morocco thing that went down with Carolyn Manzo and Brandi Glanville, and that's maybe why we're never going to get to see any more Real Housewives Ultimate Girls trips.
Well, that would be sad.
Which is annoying.
It's a really good premise.
It is a really good premise. It was super interesting, and even doing like the version with just the like RHONY like legacy cast, I thought was like really interesting, and I loved having like Kristen kind of like come in and like disrupt the group a little bit as well. Maybe there's a world in which Kristen Takeman kind of like comes to RHONY 2.0 and comes and helps kind of whip this group in shape.
I think that's kind of the key. Is I think that you need to have some of the characters that we're familiar with to bring in the new ones. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how I'm about to make this comparison, but I told you that when I was rewatching Stranger Things from the beginning.
Okay, yes.
You're probably like, where are we going?
Can't wait to see where this goes.
But I think that Stranger Things did a really good job of introducing new characters, because they would team up beloved characters,
yes,
like Steve Harrington,
yes,
with new ones,
yes.
And then I feel like that was a really nice way to incorporate the new people.
Yeah,
it was like, I feel like it's just such a perfect balance, and like a kind of a master class, because almost like, if you look at Stranger Things, I think like every new character that came in was pretty well accepted. And also it's probably just good writing and so many other things as well. But
yeah, well, and they did used to do that, right? Like in, you know, old days of RHONY, like Tinsley came on as like Sonia's new roommate. Like, who knows how much they really knew each other.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one that I was just thinking of? Oh, well, even like Jules came on as like Dorinda's friend. Like, there's always been like kind of like that, like, okay, this is your introduction person.
It's true.
Gonna be like your buddy. It's like the buddy system, like from like, high school. Like, this is the person that's going to show you around for the first couple months.
Well, wasn't Erica Jane Lisa Vanderpump's friend in Beverly Hills?
I think she was Yolanda's.
Oh, yeah.
She came on through Yolanda.
Oh, you're right, because then there was the whole,
what a cursed friendship that was.
No, you're totally right. Like, I think that's how they used to bring on new people.
Yeah.
But I think as the seasons go on, like the string that attaches people is getting more and more like,
thinner and thinner.
Nebulous.
I seem to remember watching the first season of Real Housewives of Orange County when they'd clearly just like cast like all these like ladies and stuff, and like for the most part I think most of them did know each other, but there was one that was like completely separate from the group, and the way that they introduced her to the group, they just had her like sit at like a restaurant one day, and then they had the other two be like, oh, hello, oh, do you want to eat lunch with us? Like, it was like really that level of like so awkward, because they just like had no idea how to like bring a person onto the show and like introduce somebody as somebody's friend. They're like, well, maybe we can actually fake it a little bit better than that. We can be like, yeah, so you're best friends with Lisa Rinna, and Lisa Rinna is going to bring you onto the show, and that means that Lisa Rinna is going to come after you this season. Because that's always what Lisa did to anybody that she introduced to the show. Good times. Really,
that's just it. It's like, are we over the glory days of Bravo?
Well, and like, it's interesting, like interesting that you say that. And I think like what you were saying before too about kind of like, you know, how does Bravo go forward from here? Like, I feel like when the writer's strike happened last summer, everybody was like, oh, this is great. The last time that there was a writer's strike, it was like such a heyday for reality TV. Like, so much good reality TV kind of like came out of it. And so I think that there was this like assumption that would kind of like happen again. And we just actually didn't have that kind of like pickup. And if anything, I feel like everybody that we're like hearing from in the industry is talking about how it's like actually getting worse and like harder to get jobs and like harder to like keep things going.
And then they also just like make the weirdest decisions that I don't understand.
Like canceling
Olivia,
Family Karma.
Like canceling Family Karma, not bringing Olivia back on Southern Charm, which clearly is my newest crusade and I'll never get over.
You're very upset. I understand.
I'm very upset. I don't feel like they understand what the audience wants.
Mm-hmm.
As seen by VPR last season.
Oh yeah, really? Oh god, that was horrendous.
But to be honest, like when you look at a thing like RHONY, I don't even know what I want. Like I don't know what the answer is. So like as much as I'm giving them a hard time, like it's not an easy fix.
No, it's not an easy fix, and I don't, I don't want to be in their position. But I would think that like as reality TV producers, they are the experts. Like, shouldn't they / Bravo know how to produce a reality TV show? Like, you really can't find like 4 more unhinged women in New York City and like introduce them into this cast of characters and like really like help boost up the, I don't know, the repertoire.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen. But they did it on Salt Lake City. We didn't think that they were going to be able to achieve this on Salt Lake City this season, right? Like,
it's true.
We thought it was going to be so boring after Monica left, and then they brought Bronwyn on, and she's crazy, and it's great.
She is a really good addition.
It's a wild card.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting, and also like the feuds on that one run pretty deep as well. Like these women have trauma.
Yeah, they're really annoyed at each other. They really do not like each other.
Did you notice on Salt Lake City that Up and Adam made an appearance via phone?
I know. But have you heard the drama about that as well?
No, but that was so crazy.
I know.
Just to be like, oh my god, a podcaster has made it. They've like crossed the threshold. They're on the show. I thought that was cool. What's the drama?
So I don't know if I'm going to be able to accurately describe exactly what happened with the Up and Adam on Salt Lake City drama, but it was something about how the fact that like they kind of spliced it together so that it sounded like he was saying what he was saying, but he didn't actually say that, and like the conversation was actually went down differently than it comes off on screen.
Interesting.
And I think he also talked about how like, because obviously like, and we knew it wasn't like an organic conversation that actually happened in that moment. It was more just that like Whitney, I think, had told him like, hey, we need to film this scene, so you need to tell me that it's Lisa in this scene, and like the actual timeline of events is like very different than like what actually like when things actually happened.
That is interesting, because doesn't he also like
ultra produced?
Oh man, dang. Well, I still thought it was pretty cool to see him there.
It is still cool. It is still cool to see him in there for sure. It's like, it's nice when it's like anybody that's not just like Jeff Lewis. Shots fired.
Maybe one day we'll be in there. They'll be like, oh my god, the Real Couchwives.
The tea on the Real Couchwives podcast.
Yeah. No, Salt Lake City is fun. It's giving me something to hold on to at least.
Yeah, I'm at least enjoying that. And hey, we're like a week away from Beverly Hills coming. I think is it coming back this week or is it next week?
I don't know. I'd have to check.
I'm
like a little scared though, because I feel like when we're too excited or put all of our eggs in one basket, you're like asking for disappointment. But
I get that. But at the same time, like Beverly Hills is at least usually it's pretty. Like I don't know. I don't
know. It's had some bad times.
I know it's had some bad times, and I won't say that it hasn't, because it has. And it's had probably some of the darkest times.
Yes,
on Bravo. So really,
very dark times.
Some very dark times.
But so did Salt Lake City, and they came out of it.
Yeah. So that's just it. Like we'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
I literally just remembered that Jen Shah is in prison.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
She's in prison, but her prison sentence keeps on getting shortened.
Oh,
so
she's
coming back as soon as she possibly can. Yeah.
Oh
I think it just like got reduced from like 7 years to 5 years or something. So
do you think Bravo will put her back? I could totally see them doing that. I could totally see them do that.
Season 9, she's gonna be on it. Mark my words.
Oh my god, I do kind of want to just see a scene with her and like all of the women and just have them like, because like she has been like a cloud over this show. Like she's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting, especially like Heather. Like I want to see her and Heather have a conversation of Heather just being like,
I just don't want her to come back full time.
I really don't want
I don't want that.
The message I would be putting out is just like, but then again, like
do whatever you want.
They've already pretty much been saying that.
Yeah, they don't care.
They literally don't care. And for them to pretend that they care is like,
oh yeah, no, it's not true. They don't care. They don't care at all.
I think it would be really weird. Maybe she'll be on Dancing with the Stars next.
Yeah, there you go. That's possible. I guess only time will tell.
Well, what was their answer to like what's her name from New Jersey? They're like, well, she served her time, so she's
I think
okay
so.
Now.
Yeah. And they specifically like stalled the show so that Teresa could come back like for it. So
yeah, Bravo has some shaky
morals.
Yeah.
Questionable morals.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen from here. I don't know what the rest of the RHONY season's going to be. Mm-hmm. Is this just it?
I'm intrigued to even see how many more episodes they really even have for RHONY. Like, it
Imagine
feels like this is going to be
cut it.
End it here. I don't think it's going to be that, but I do feel like it's going to be like another short season. Like, it already feels like it's been pretty reduced.
Like, you know what I was thinking? Sorry, I don't know why I'm only thinking about this now, but like the fact that Andy was like, oh, like kind of like disappointed with like the prank and whatever happened.
Yeah.
I know he's not. Does he executive produce that one anymore?
RHONY?
Yeah.
I think so.
So like he obviously had a hand in like putting this in the trailer, and then like he knew this was going to happen. So it's just kind of funny to like now see the audience reaction and then be like, shame on you.
I think I think that like, you know, they just do the best that they can. I also don't know how much, like, yes, he has an executive producer credit. I don't know how much he like actually gets to have a say in like the actual storyline editing of it. But they also just have to work with the content that they're given, right? Like, for the most part, like, they can't.
That's true.
And you know, I think that in the editors and the producers defense, you know, I think they did the best with what they had available to them.
I mean, had it been real, it would have been very juicy, entertaining story. They, like,
would have been highly scandalous.
I think
for it to come out like that, like,
yeah, I think if anything, it just really hurts the credibility of Aaron and Rebecca, and like I don't think that they can come back from that, and I feel like they probably didn't realize what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't think they realized how stupid that was.
Like, you literally lost trust right there. Like, what do you like with the women, with us? Like,
yeah, what do we do?
Yeah. Anything but talking about, you know, what's actually happening.
Heaven forbid. But yeah, so those are our thoughts about RHONY this week. Let us know how you guys felt about it. Did you feel as conned as we did?
Are you even watching it?
Yeah, I feel like the answer is going to be no. But let us know how you felt, and yeah, we'll see you next week.